Hi, and congratulations on the purchase of your beautiful new Sentra SV. This is a great car that's going to get you amazing fuel economy, especially with today's prices. Couldn't ask for much better fuel economy than what you're going to get in this car. It's a smooth drive. I know that we covered all the features when you were here for the delivery, but we're going to go back through this again so that you have a reference. However, with that said, at the end of the video, if you still have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. You can call, text, email, or drop in the dealership. More than happy to help you out. So let's have a look back at the features that we went over during your delivery. We're going to start over here on the dash. We've got our nice display here. So right away I can see I got my radio. I've got AM, FM. There's FM1, which has 6 presets. If I go to FM2, I've got 6 more presets. And I get 6 presets on AM as well. If I move over to satellite, I have XM1, 2, and 3, and I get 6 presets on each of those. Satellite radio would come free for the first 3 months on this. Our media button is going to cycle through Bluetooth, auxiliary, USB, and CD. While you have it on any one of those, you can go ahead and just set it right to that, and it's going to stream your audio from there. Now, a big thing that a lot of people ask is, how do I set my clock? So I'm going to go into the settings. I'm going to turn my dial to move down to the clock. One press highlights my hour. From there, I can go ahead and I can set my hour, which I know right now this clock is off. So I'm going to move it up to 2. One more press takes me over to the minute. I'm going to set that to 30. And then my clock is adjusted. And up top here, I see I've got the new time. It also sets it for me over here in the driver assist display. From there, I can hit the back button and I'm back to my radio. Now, under the settings button, I also noticed I have my Bluetooth settings. So if I go into there, one turn down, I can then add my phone. To add a phone in the Bluetooth settings, you want to make sure that you are in the settings on your phone, whether it's an Android, Apple, BlackBerry, or Windows phone. Go into the settings and then go into your Bluetooth settings and then just follow the directions on this. Once you find the right thing, you're going to tap on it and then you're going to hit pair. And then as the prompts come up, you're going to hit allow. It's going to allow your address book to get pulled into the system. It's also going to allow you to use the Siri Eyes Free for your message assistant, which anybody who sends you a text message, it's going to beep inside the vehicle. Simply hitting the talk button here on the steering wheel will read the message to you in that case, and it's also going to automatically send a message back to the person to let them know that you are driving. So we'll come back at it here. We've got our volume for the radio here. If you find the display distracting, you can turn it off. So I'm going to turn my radio up so I can still hear the radio even though the display is turned off. Now, as we get over to our driver assist display, I'll show you another way to be able to view your radio info in case you do have this screen off. As we move down below here, we've got our dual climate control. So right now, I've got the temperature set on 21 degrees. If I hit dual, instantly this side jumped up because the last person who had this set had it set for 25. So now I can individually change either side. As soon as my passenger hops out, if I press the dual button, everything resets to the driver's side. Now if I set it for auto, that fan instantly has jumped up because it's quite warm in the vehicle at the moment. It's 21 degrees outside. This is doing what it has to. I'm going to turn that down. This is doing what it has to get the cabin temperature down to 21 degrees as fast as possible when it's on auto. In the winter, it's going to do what it has to get it up to that. It's automatically going to determine where my airflow goes, in this case the vents, and it's automatically going to adjust my fan. Now, if I leave it in auto, even though the fan is up all the way, as it gets closer to that temperature inside the vehicle, it's going to automatically start dialing that fan back and do what it needs to maintain the temperature that's set. If I want to change it manually, this button here will concentrate all my air on the windshield. Or I can use the mode button, set it for the vents, so that would be these vents here in the front, the vents on the floor, strictly the floor, or the floor in the windshield, or back to the vents. Like I said, auto will turn that on to automatically adjust all of that. I can manually adjust my fan speed here as well. I've got my AC button here, fresh air versus recycled air. This is for my rear defrost, which will also turn on the heated side mirrors. I can use this button to turn the climate control off entirely as well. I've got a 12 volt power port right here. As I move down, I've got my heated seats here. And then finally, inside the armrest, I have a USB port and an auxiliary port. Now if I'm going to use the USB and I want the cable coming out, I can just put it out either side right here, and that way it doesn't pinch off the wire. Now my armrest will slide out to give me that comfort that I want on the armrest as well. Next up, let's have a look at the steering wheel. As we move over, we see our steering wheel. We've got a beautiful leather wrapped steering wheel, so it's got a really nice feel to it. On the right side of our steering wheel, down below here, we've got our Bluetooth hands-free. So the top button will allow you to make calls or hang up calls. That's also your voice recognition, because you can change your audio with that as well. The bottom button is to hang up calls. This button here will turn your cruise on and off. If I hit this as I watch my driver display, I see my icon shows up here to show me that my cruise is on. From there, I can tap down to set it, or I can tap up to resume if I've had to cancel it, either by hitting the cancel or tapping the brake. Or if I need to add speed, I can tap up a few times or reduce speed by tapping down a few times. On the left side of our steering wheel, our top button here is our source button. This will change the source of our audio. So if I watch over on our display here, as I hit the source button, I go from FM1 to FM2 to XM1, XM2, XM3, Bluetooth, auxiliary, AM, back to FM. Now if I have a USB plugged in or a CDN, those become options as well. This button here is actually going to go through the presets on our radio. So by pressing down, I'm going down through my presets. Up is going to go back up. Now if I have a CD or a USB or auxiliary device in, or Bluetooth, that will skip tracks. We have our volume right here for our radio. So up or down. And then this button right here is going to control my driver assist display. So right now I'm on the home screen. So by hitting this, it's going to go forward through the screens. If I press back, it's going to go backwards through the screens. So I'm going to go forward one screen. This takes me to my average speed. This is only the average speed of the vehicle. It is not a digital speedometer. So if I want to reset this, I can press and hold this button and it resets. Our next screen is a trip odometer, and again I can press and hold to reset. The same with our trip B, press and hold and we reset. The next screen over shows me my fuel economy. Now this car has done a lot of idling, so the fuel economy is sitting kind of high. So I'm going to press and hold, and again I can reset that screen. Now I mentioned earlier that our driver assist display will show you what's going on with our radio. So if I turn this display off, turn my volume up a little bit, I can still hear my radio and I can see what's going on this screen. So I'm going to turn this back down at the moment. Now from there, pressing the source button, again, I can see everything right here on this screen. All the exact same features that I saw over on the main display. Pressing down, I see I go to preset 3, preset 2, going up, same thing, back up to 4. So I'm going to press our box again, the shadow box. Our driving aids. So your vehicle is equipped with automatic emergency braking. How that works, if the vehicle in front of you suddenly hits the brakes and you're closing that gap really fast, inside the vehicle it's going to beep at you and it's going to push the gas pedal back against your foot. If you don't react at that point, it's going to react for you. The beeping is going to get louder and faster, and if necessary, it will hit the brakes. It does give you that moment to give you the option to be able to do it yourself. Any warnings would show up here. So if you had low wiper fluid, a low tire, one of your doors wasn't shut, it would show up on this screen. It'll give you an indication of what it is. To clear the warning, simply correct the issue. Our final setting here is for our settings, the final screen. Now, I have one setting that I change on the Sentras, and it's under the alarm. I typically turn off the outside alarm temperature, and the reason for that is, if it's cold outside, I already know it's cold outside. I don't need the vehicle to tell me that. I don't want a warning popping up every single time I start the vehicle during the winter. Outside of that, I don't normally change any of the settings in the Sentra. So feel free to go through and check out all of the different settings. Don't worry about messing anything up. If you do, you can simply go to the bottom and hit factory reset. Now with that said, there is one on the top here that says clock, and if I go in there, it tells me set my clock over here, as we've already discussed. I do have an auto function on my headlights, which right now it is currently set to. So with that, it's automatically going to turn the lights on or off as needed, depending on the brightness outside. Down on the left side of my dash, I've got a few buttons over here. So this is the brightness for my dash display while the lights are on. This button here will allow me to determine which of my side mirrors I'm setting, either the driver's side or the passenger side. Set it back to the middle once you're done. That way, in case you accidentally hit this button, it's not going to alter your mirror. This button here is the trunk release. If I put my finger in and push down, it will open the trunk. Down below here, this is my traction control. If you're not familiar with driving with this off, I highly recommend just leaving that button alone. It will allow your wheels to spin under slippery conditions, but your vehicle is likely going to slide sideways in the same case, at which point you need to move your steering wheel very, very quickly to keep somewhat straight. So I just recommend leaving this button alone if you're not familiar with that. Our sport mode. So if I hit sport, you see up here in green it says sport. Sport is going to change how my vehicle reacts. It's going to increase the RPMs there. What it's going to do is give me more torque on the motor. So if I need to get around somebody in a hurry on the highway, I can hit sport. The motor is going to be more responsive. It's going to give me that extra push that I need to get up to speed faster to get around the person. Once I get back out into my own lane, I'm going to want to turn sport back off because sport is harder on gas. Eco mode, as we see down below our park indicator, is much better on gas. So you're going to have that on all the time. Many of my customers do. The one thing to be aware of if you're going to leave eco mode on all the time is pulling away from a dead stop or trying to go around somebody in a hurry is going to feel a bit sluggish. Outside of that, you're really not going to notice that you're in eco mode. It's going to drive fantastic. It's going to be great on fuel. So we'll turn that back off. We've got the power locks right here. We've got our windows here, and the child-proof lock for the mirrors or the windows right there. Finally, we have our key fob. So on my key fob, because it is a push button start, as I see up here, I don't have a key for the ignition. So I still have my keyless entry here. I can press and hold this button here to open my trunk. I've got my panic button. But because it is a key fob, eventually the battery inside is going to die. They're typically good for 2 to 4 years. When your battery starts getting low, your very first indication is going to be on this screen up here. It's going to pop up and it's going to say incorrect key ID. When that happens, you're going to have a moment of panic, and then you're going to remember that we had the conversation that you just wait for that to go away and then go ahead, put your foot on the brake and press the start button again. It should work at that point. If you continue to go to the point of where the key fob dies, there is a button on the inside of the key fob for the driver's side door, because there is a keyhole on the driver's side door to unlock it. Remember, it's only the battery in the key fob that's dead, not the battery in the car. Once you get in, simply take the Nissan emblem on your key fob, put it directly against your start button, and use that to push the start button in. Your vehicle will still start. At that point, you're going to want to go and get a new battery. You can either come back to the dealership and the parts department will look after you, or any of your local stores that sell batteries like that, you can go and get one. So to do that, you're going to want to take your extra key out, and then on the key fob, we've got a little recessed area over here. You want to get something in there and give it a twist to pop this open. Inside is the battery, and the battery has a number on it. That number is the size of the battery. It's going to tell you exactly what battery you need. Put the new battery in, clip it back together, put your key back in place, and you're good to go. Congratulations again on the purchase of your brand new beautiful SV Sentra. It really is a great car. I know you're going to love it. It's one of the best sedans in the market for its size and fuel economy. This drives beautifully. It's going to treat you very well and last a very long time. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. Call, text, or email. My contact info will follow. I look forward to seeing you anytime that you come in for service. If you do, please pop by and say hello. If I see you, I'll drop over and say hello as well. And I look forward to dealing with you when it comes time to buy your next vehicle.